would you expect a parking spot in Sydney to sell for?
Oh, that's
that
a nice
parking
one.
spot.
That's a nice one.
Oh, it's undercover.
Exactly. If you have a spare $400,000, would you believe that? This premium spot could be all yours. It is further proof that property, no matter how small, is fetching ridiculous prices, with inner city studio apartments in Sydney now averaging $730,000.
That's a studio apartment, so that's not even a separate bedroom. It's one bed in your lounge room with a kitchenette.
Presumably with a separate toilet. So what would that money buy you
No, just
elsewhere
an
in the world?
incinerator.
Let's have a look at what it would buy you elsewhere in the world. With home prices on Australia's east coast skyrocketing, it's time for Aussies to cast their eyes further afield, to say France, where you can buy this castle, yep, a castle, with 11 bedrooms on 8 hectares for a touch over $730,000. Or if you're more into Downton Abbey, what about this English manor house for $900,000? For warmer weather, you could try this seaside 4-bedroom villa in Greece for just a touch over $700,000. Across the Atlantic, horse lovers can buy a New Mexico ranch complete with sunsets to ride into for the same coin. While this renovated 140-year Gothic mansion will also set you back less than a studio apartment in Australia's harbour city.
But if it's Gothic, there are bound to be ghosts and monsters in it.
They're extra.
Swings and roundabouts. To chat further about property prices in Australia, we are joined by Domain's Chief Economist, Dr Andrew Wilson. Morning to you, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. Good day, man.
Morning.
So, this parking space, for a start,
Wow.
up for $400,000.
Yes.
We saw one in Kirribilli, which wasn't even undercover, go for $120,000 a couple of years ago. I mean, in all seriousness, are parking spaces good investments?
Well, I think that it's just a product of this ever-increasing upwards densification, not only of Sydney, but of Melbourne and Brisbane too. Of course, developers don't typically, in some apartments, don't have a car park at all.
Yes.
So I guess $400,000 when you're paying $2 or $3 million for an apartment isn't, I guess, as bad as it seems on the outlook. But I think that we are going to see more demand for car spaces as we see more demand for apartments.
So we've just seen there in that story, you can own a French castle, Greek villa. I mean, that's certainly nice to be able to boast and say, oh, I've just got the French villa or whatever. Is it possible to invest in these overseas rather than getting into the property market in one of the major cities in Australia?
Well, look, it is, but a lot of these bargains are provincial centres. They're not the big cities. If we look at the Sydney median compared to Paris or New York or London, it certainly still offers some value compared to those bigger, more established cities. So provincial investments, yes. Big city, no.
But they're probably not going to increase in value the way that something near a big city is going to in Australia.
Well, that's right. And it's a long way to go to mow the lawn and check the rent's being paid. So, but look, it's very interesting. I guess it does compare the real value aspects of Sydney. But let's look at the big cities to see the value of Sydney.
All right, just in very general terms, it seems that the property market is cooling in Sydney and Melbourne anyway. It's gone backwards in some places. Is this the beginning of a little bit of a readjustment now?
Well, look, we're always going to see an easing of prices growth. The further we get away from those interest rate cuts, the less energy we've got to push up prices. Auction clearance rates are still in favour of sellers. I think we might even get an interest rate cut in the near future, and that'll help kick things along. That's to offset perhaps hhigher rates from the banks. So still a good market for sellers, but not as strong as it was 3 months ago.
All right.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Good to see you, Andrew. Beachgoers.